OK and the podcast serves as a vessel to bridge the gap between human isolation and connection. We are all going through something. However, what happens when we start sharing our stories? We will be able to connect, heal, and grow. Come with me and my guests on a journey that will uncover their OK and moment. I'm your host, Just Jess. Let's get started. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening to this podcast. I'm your host, Just Jess. Welcome to OK and the podcast, where we are bridging the gap between human isolation and connection. And on today's episode, we have a friend of the pod, my sister from another Mister, Miss Bree. Dolly, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Oh, hello. I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Feeling great. Feeling great. So we had our first episode. And now we're coming back for round 2. And you've been places. I haven't really been anywhere, but you've been some places. So how was Consumer Electronics Show, also known as CES? How was it?
Yeah, it was great. I went last week, flew out. So for the last couple of years, I have been going because I have worked for the industry. I worked in consumer electronics with Best Buy. I worked at Amazon for a while. And I got to go to just kind of experience what was new and great. And it became a little bit of a tradition. I used to go with our mutual friend Chuck, who is no longer with us. So last year I did not actually end up going, but this year decided to go back. And it was good. It was exactly as I remembered it. There were some really cool products and just really great displays. LG has a like see-through TV. So that was, yeah. It was so tight. I'll send you video because it was incredible to see. But yeah, it was just, I got to walk on this, I forget what they called it. It's like a kinetic floor basically, with, Sony, where they have like vibrations built into the floor. So it feels like you're like in the moment when they're playing a video or something. So they had this little Ghostbusters, the marshmallow was like attacking the city and you could step on the marshmallow and it felt like you were stepping on. It didn't feel like you were stepping on the marshmallow, but that was the purpose behind it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What were go ahead.
No, you go.
What were some products that were like, oh, okay, we're here?
I honestly, so it's funny because every year that I've gone, I've always been in the mindset of how do I learn about these products so that I can teach them to other people.
Right.
That was really the reason why I was going. But this year, because I was really going for me, now I work for a clean energy company. And so it was really interesting to walk around all of these different areas, and everybody has some form of feeding back into just clean energy and trying to create these solutions that don't pollute, that utilize the same energy that they're putting out. So it was really cool just to kind of see a lot of that stuff. There was one display though, which have you seen Saltburn yet?
No, I've heard things about it though, but no, I haven't seen it yet.
It's the new Gen Z thing. I'll put that in there. But there's a scene with a bathtub. And there was one display where they were talking about how you can use the water and like whatever it is that you're using to cool down your house. You can use the like bathtub water and have it cycle back through your house so that you're not wasting water, basically. And I was like, I don't know if I want to be breathing in whatever is in that bathtub water. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But tons of green initiatives all around CES. It was really cool to see. What was less cool to see was the amount of AI artwork that was everywhere, because I think I like to draw. I like to like create art in my spare time. And the like AI art in general, like it has to scrape the internet for other artists to be able to create this art. And so basically what AI art is stolen artwork. So that was a little disappointing to see, but It's
Okay.
CES, like it's gonna happen. It's the new technology. But yeah, there are ways that AI can help us and there are ways that AI can really hurt us. And I'm interested to see what happens in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it will definitely be interesting. I'm glad that you were able to go back. I'm glad that you just because I know the significance of going to the show, especially with Chucky Chuck. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you were able to spend that time and go back. I'll go next year. I want to go next year. I do.
Yeah, come with.
That would be that would
I
be
get free
fun.
tickets every year.
Yeah, we're in there. We're in there.
I love
So I'm thinking. Do you hear the thunder?
No.
So we're having, our California storm, and there was literally like it said boom, 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 boom. I'm like,
Ooh.
I need you, or maybe it's a plane. I,
Could be a plane.
Something's going on outside. Anyway, so I really wanted us to talk about sex, and
Yeah.
and this is one of those episodes. If y'all are listening or watching, I'm grown. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there right now. So we are having the conversation, and this is how we are able to learn from each other and basically apply it back to our lives. Like we exchange conversation. So you're just gonna enter the world of Brie and I real quick, and then
Maybe not the whole world.
just get a little small sample of it. Okay. Um, but really, this conversation is not only about sex, but the way the relationship that we have with sex when it comes to coming from your 20s into your 30s, and the intentions and the tools and resources that go along with it. So that's where we're at with this conversation. So I wanted to just, hey, here's your warning. All right, go listen to another episode. But if you want to listen to
If you are
sex,
under the age of 18, please skedaddle.
bye bye. All right, so Bree, when I'm just going to get into the questions. All right.
All right.
Are you excited? So, when did you lose your V card?
Oh boy. Um, so I mean, we're gonna refer back to the original episode of the podcast that we recorded together. I grew up in a very Christian family, very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And I I had not even seen a penis in real life until I lost my V card. So that was fun. I was 23. I was
Mm-hmm.
23, and I was working at our lovely, and I had made a connection with one of the other supervisors that was there,
Mm-hmm.
and it was. um I did not have a good relationship with sex at that point in time because, again, it was this thing that was filled with a lot of shame for a long, long time. By the time I graduated college and I had like gone out into the real world and started to get more experiences, I realized it really wasn't that bad of a thing, and I really wanted to do it. So so the first person that I connected with about like having sex in general, I was like, all right, that's it, that's the person I'm gonna lose it to. um and it was in the back seat of my 2006 Ford Focus in the middle of a TGI Fridays parking lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you get
Yeah.
appetizers after?
I think we ate before.
Ah.
So, I mean, even more of an uncomfortable experience because like it's Friday, so you're super bloated in the backseat, like not great. I'm paranoid that someone's gonna drive by or walk by. It was the middle of winter in California, I think. No, it was May. It was May. It was May 4th, in fact, and I remember that because the 4th was with me.
Yes. Yes, and yes. I think okay, so I thought going into college, like I was going to wait until I got married. I was that person. I had there was Target ran this campaign about virginity, and it wasn't Target. I think it was like Urban Outfitters. I got this shirt from Ontario Mills, and it said, I'm a virgin, you're not getting any. And I would wear that shirt on my college campus, right? So I think I set myself up for failure because it was like, is that a challenge? What's happening?
Mhm.
When I lost my V card, it was I was in a dorm room, and the guy that I liked, kind of like, I'm really oblivious to when people flirt because I flirt, but like it's just my personality, but not knowing
Yes.
the flirting comes from like, oh, I want to have intercourse with you.
Yeah.
It goes over my head at that time. I'm much
Yeah.
better at it now. But the guy leaves and he's like, "Oh, Jess, you want to come back to my dorm with me or whatever?" And I was like, "No, I'm okay. I'm with my friends." And then my homegirls look at me like, "Go with him. Like, go with him. Go have some fun or whatever." Um, and so I lost my virginity to him. And the person that I really wanted to lose my virginity to, it was high school. Um, Shout out, he looks like Cam Newton. It's just he was a gorgeous man. All right. And I remember the day, like, he called me. I played basketball growing up. He played basketball growing up. So we were coming back from tournaments. I was like maybe an hour and a half away from home. So he calls, he's like, "Hey, how did your games go?" I'm like, "My games are good, whatever." He's like, "Okay, so when you come back home, I think today's gonna be the day." And I was like, "What do you mean?" "Well, I want to have sex with you. Let's have sex together." And it's like the most awkward, like 16-year-old conversation. So I'm like, "Well, my mom, like, I'm finishing games." He was like, "Okay, make sure, take a shower and, meet me at my house. My parents will be gone." Right. And he lived around the corner from me. So I told my mom, I was like, "Mom, can we hurry up? Because, such and such, like, we're going to go play video games or whatever." My mom knew. Okay. She knew. She's like, "Oh yeah, we'll
You're
go."
taking a shower in the
Right,
middle of the day.
right. And so I'm about to leave to his house, right? So I'm like, "Okay, what's gonna happen?" Right? She says, "Take your brother with you." I'm like, "For what? Why does my
Mhm.
brother have to go?" So take my brother. Dude puts him in his room to play Xbox games, right? So he's occupied. So we go into his dad's like restored car. We're in the back seat. And I'm like, "All right, cool. Like, we're gonna do this," right? He's like, "I got a condom from the nurse's office." So he like he put the I'm like, "Okay, great." And I literally just get cold feet. I was like, "I can't do this. I want to wait until I'm married. This is not fair. I need to do something different with my life." Like, this whole story, right? So like the moods are down, the penis is plummeted, like it's over with, right? So now fast forward, you're in college, I lose it, right? And now I called my dad after I lost my virginity, like the day after. I
Yeah.
was sitting at a restaurant eating a Greek salad, and my dad and I had this language of, when you have sex, we're going to call it taking care of business. And taking care of business was, did you use a condom? Did you protect yourself? Was he polite? All those different things, right?
Yeah.
So I'm eating my Greek salad, chomping, smacking at the bit. I'm like, "Dad." He's like, "What's up?" I said, "Guess what?" He said, "What?" I said, "I took care of business." He said, "Okay. Did you call your mom?" I said, "Nope, I called you first. So what can we talk about? What are the next steps?" He said, "Call your mother." And I was like, "That's not what we talked about growing up. That's not what we talked about. I thought communication. I thought we could talk about the things that I experienced in college." I called my mom, and my mom's like, "This is a lot of information. Thank you for telling me. I'm gonna call you back." So I don't know if they had a huddle of the parents, because I've always been that girl to be like, "I'm gonna tell my mom and dad. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have a collaborative relationship with them."
Good for
That's
you.
how hard it is, right? And I think I scared them so much because
Oof.
even prior to me going to dude's house in high school, actually no, it was after that fact. My mom and dad set up a birth control appointment for me for Kaiser before college. And I was like, "If I wanted to lose my virginity, I would have lose it to such and such." They're like, "Okay, but you're going to college, so we don't know what's happening. So you're gonna go get birth control." we missed the birth control appointment. They were pissed. They were livid. We can't send her to college without being protected. Just what their mindset was. Okay, if she's going to do it, at least let's give her the tools so that way she's not getting pregnant. Because my mom got pregnant with me when she was 18. So just trying to not
change the cycle,
change the narrative, if you will. So after you lost your V card, how did you? Because you said that you didn't have a good relationship with sex at that time. Like, how did you grow into it?
Ooh, one person at a time. No, it honestly, it was it was a struggle. And it was a struggle all the way into my 30s even. Just because I mean, sex is so idealized when we're
Right.
younger. It's supposed to be the culmination of this beautiful relationship, as we were taught. And it wasn't like that for me anytime. I've never been in a relationship. So I mean, I've never been in a real relationship, I should say. I've been in plenty of situationships. But I think that it's kind of funny to hear like your perspective on how you were with your parents, because I never told my parents that I'd had sex. I think they know by now, and if they don't, surprise. But my mom, every time I would come home, we talked about this the last time, she would ask me if I had found a boy or a girl. And she never really got into that conversation with me. And we never really talked about sex as a family. My sisters and I, even now as an adult, sometimes I cringe away from talking about sex with my two sisters, even though they are my best friends in the whole world. There are times that I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear this from my family who I know very well, and I knew you when you were wee. So those are some of the ways that I'm still kind of processing through like what sex even is. As I grew older, I became very, very sex positive. My actually, in order to get birth control, I wanted to get birth control in college because our whole family has a history of not great uterine issues. And so I was like, if I get on birth control, then I can know when my period's coming. I can have a regular light period. And in order to get birth control at this college that we were at, you had to get oh my gosh, a pap smear. I was like, what are the words? You had to get a pap smear, and you had to go through that entire experience because they assume that you're having sex when you're getting birth control. Again, this would be another 4 or 5 years before I would even have sex, maybe. But one of my really close friends in college went to the pap smear with me, and I was so scared because the duckbill is never an exciting adventure. I was so scared though. I was like, I've never had anything. We're getting really, I've never had anything penetrate my vagina. I've never I myself didn't even masturbate at that point in time. Like it was all very taboo, but I knew that I needed to keep my body healthy. So my friend came into the exam room with me and held my hand. She's like up by my head while I'm getting this pap smear done. And I was like, this is the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. But it was like, that was where my brain was at the entirety of my life until I turned 23. And then all of a sudden it was like this boundary that I had for myself was gone. And I utilized the hell out of every tool that I had that I could get my hands on. I actually, when I had been in college, I was in love with this boy man person. He's now a man. And like all of our friends thought that we were going to get together. At some point after college, he was actually the second person that I ever slept with. I still thought when it was happening, I was like, we're going to be able to do this. We're going to finally be together. And then after it happened, I lost all interest. And it wasn't like, ew, I had sex with you. It was just like, I'm going to move on. Like, I think this was something I had to work out of my system. And he got mad at me because at some point he had like we hung out all the time. At some point he had taken me on a date, but
Mhm.
I didn't know it was a date because we didn't actually establish it was a date. And like he got mad at me because he was like, I've been trying to date you. We went out and hung out a couple times. And I'm like, I didn't know that. You have to tell me that. Like, how am I supposed to know that going to Chipotle and going
Mhm.
to a movie and hanging out at your house, like, how am I supposed to know those are dates when those are things that we do all the time?
What's the
So,
differentiator?
so like, between my first time and my first time with that guy, it's really funny because my first time I thought I was supposed to be in a relationship with the guy that I lost my V card to.
Mhm.
That didn't end up happening. He was in a very complicated relationship. He had been separated from his wife. He ended up getting a divorce. It was a
Mhm.
whole thing. Everything is messy about all of these people, by the way. All of our 20s. It's just messy. uh,
Yes. Yes.
but so I had to work through this idea of like, okay, sex does not mean that I'm going to be in a relationship with someone.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I never learned that lesson because I end up going over I end up like having this date with a guy that I was in love with in college, or
Mhm.
having this experience, and I was not in love with him. I was not like it wasn't really clicking for us. And so we stopped being friends at that point, and that was the first time that I experienced the like, I've had this relationship with someone forever
Yeah.
and one thing completely obliterated it, and I was like, this sucks. And so that was kind of my moment of realization of like, again, this is not a healthy realization. I was still in my very early 20s, but
Mhm.
it was a realization of like, if I want to have sex, if I want to keep doing this and enjoying the pleasure that I can find in my own body, it has to be with people that I have no connection with. And so
Okay.
I became very, very good at one night stands.
Got it.
Um,
Got it.
I was on OkCupid at the time.
Mhm.
Tinder eventually came out. I would go out and I would meet random people. And I created what we call the list, which I still have today, which is literally any person that I have ever slept with,
Mhm.
or had a sexual encounter with. We have given them a hashtag. And by we, I mean people that I talk to about these things,
Yeah.
you included. Uh, you know the hashtag list. But yeah, I started building up a list of people. There was one hashtag center stage where I just met some random guy and we went to dinner, and then he worked in a community theater out in the area,
Mhm.
and he literally pulled a couch into the center of the stage, and we had sex like center stage. There's no audience, obviously, because it's like super late at night, but it was the coolest experience of my life. And I was like, nice to meet you. Bye. And I moved on to the next person. And that was just kind of the rhythm that I got myself into. I got to experience new things, which also is why I think I like traveling now, but I got to
Mhm.
experience new things.
Mhm.
And I wound up just getting to know who I was as a person and what I liked to do.
Right.
And ultimately that led to um a predilection, I guess, for some more BDSM type of situations,
Mhm.
and um really getting into that community, which was actually really good for me because I kept treating sex as like just an activity, whereas the BDSM community really treats sex as something that needs to be fully consented to by adults. And like, there's so much communication and there's so much health around the topic and talking about how we interact with one another as two human beings. I think that was probably the best thing for me as I was kind of growing into who I was as a sexual person.
But essentially, it is effective communication in 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 a world where sometimes you don't have the communication at all. You don't say anything. You're there, and that was. I didn't find my sexual voice until later. Like later, it was it was just later. It was later. Okay, so I wanted to go back to your question because I had a thought and I was like, blah, 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 but let me go back. So being a part of that community and knowing that this was like one of the greatest experiences, um, how did you get involved or how did you become aware of that community?
I was in another situationship
Okay.
with another person that I worked with. So let me be very clear here. Most of the pool comes from um we were all very incestual. But he worked at the store with me when I lived in California.
Mhm.
And he was into spanking. And I did not realize that I enjoyed spanking until I experienced it. And I was like, well, this is interesting.
Mhm.
And then he was also very dominant. And I was like, I personally, in my normal life, if someone tells me to sit down and be a good girl, I'm gonna be like, fuck you. But
Yeah.
while I'm in the bedroom, sometimes that's a nice experience
Mhm.
because like I do a lot of managing in my real life, so it's nice to not have to manage in my sex life. Um but yeah, he kind of opened that door for me because I was
Mhm.
like, this is something that I've never experienced before and I appreciated it. And then I started like reading more about it and trying to figure out like how to talk about it with other people who I might want to be my sexual partner. And so like there were a couple random hookups that I would be like, "Hey, can you spank me?" Or like any kind of like rough sex or anything like that. That was really what we got into a little bit further. And then I did a very bold thing. I don't remember how old I was, but I ended up going to a sex club in Los Angeles. It was a BDSM sex club. It
Okay.
was really great. It was terrifying for me the first time that I went because I was like, I don't know what I'm about to step into. Like, is this going to turn into? And I know this is not not the way that it actually is. But in the back of my brain, I was so fearful that I was going to walk in and it was going to turn into like a sex trafficking thing,
Yeah.
and like
Definitely.
like that was the
Yeah.
genuine fear. And I think more of a danger of sex trafficking was me sleeping with my random Uber driver one time than going to this club. I like there are so many situations that I put myself in that could have been very dangerous.
Mhm. Mhm.
But going to this club was not one of them, and it was great because I didn't sleep with anyone. I didn't do anything sexually with anyone the first time that I went.
Mhm.
I got a tour around the facility. They were very, very nice. They were like, we can understand that you're nervous.
Right.
And some guy like started talking to me. He was like, would you like to see what I brought with me? And I was like, sure. So he starts taking out his toys. And that was even more of an education for me because I realized the scope of things that you can do in these clubs.
Mhm.
Um, it was really interesting because like he had like the I mean we're gonna go into it. He obviously had the whips and the floggers. He had the handcuffs and the nipple clamps. He had gotten one of the little electric like little zip things
Okay.
so that you can do like nipple play and like
Oh,
clit
okay.
play and stuff with it.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is really interesting. I don't know that I would ever play with electricity that way, but the other stuff seems fun.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and so yeah, didn't hook up with that guy. He was very nice about it. He was like, would you like to play? And I was like, I don't think so tonight, but thank you for like showing me what's possible. And he was like, absolutely. I had a couple cigarettes with some people that were there and just kind of chatted with people when I smoked. Don't smoke anymore.
Mhm.
And then and then I left. I ended up coming back I think like a month later. I ended up playing just a little bit. And yeah, it was a nice environment to be in because it felt very safe.
Mhm.
There was never any pressure. You could watch other people do their thing if they allowed you to. If they said, "Hey, we don't want anybody to watch," like they weren't in the mood to show anybody, then you left them alone. Like that was the whole purpose of this place, was so that people can kind of explore what they like, and be very gentle and be very obviously not always gentle, but be very, be just very communicative about what hard limits were, what things that were allowed to do. Yeah, it ended up being a really cool experience for me, and it got me into understanding a little bit again more of what I prefer to do versus what I guess society had taught me to do during sex. Um, I mean, I enjoyed like when you start thinking about positions, like women are always it's assumed that we're just gonna have missionary sex
Right.
or that we're just gonna do it doggy style all the time.
Mhm.
And so with a lot of these experiences, it taught me like the fact that sex is more than just like, hey, we're gonna go at it one time and that's it. Um, yeah, it was a good experience.
And thank you for sharing that, because that's something where I don't want people, like, you're going to have kinks, you're going to have, playful things that when it comes to your sexual appetite, but the education piece is the most critical, because I think people, I mean, there are women that have never experienced orgasms until their late 40s, early 50s. And
Yeah.
or it's been taboo because they don't talk about it. They come from, religion, culture, whatever the case may be. And it's the sharing piece, it takes the stigma away. It takes it away
Mhm.
to where it's, hey, we're having a conversation about it. Yeah, it might be uncomfortable, but I'm literally in this mindset. Like, if I'm able to have sex if I think people are more comfortable taking off their clothes and having sex with people than opposed to talking about their credit score. And
I
that
mean,
part
yeah,
is mind-boggling to me, because sex is one of those things where it is a connection. You are connecting with this person. You are, transferring energy, and how you're able to know your body and explore, you can bring that into the bedroom because you know who you are, versus allowing someone to say, like, okay, do you like it this way? You're like, yeah, I guess so, but not even knowing, like, no, I don't like, I like it this way. Do it this
yeah,
way. Lick me this
yeah,
way. Like, all those different things come to play. So that's where your sexual voice comes in. Really
yeah.
awesome.
Well, and I think it's also it's important for men to have those conversations too, because even
Mhm.
like the way that we were all brought up is again that sex is an act between two people. But most of the time the work that goes into it is the job of the man. When in reality, like as I mean, the whole of patriarchy is telling men that they deserve certain things and that
Mhm.
like they don't have to put any kind of work in technically. It's interesting because I'll read these articles and I'll see how men are reacting to this world that is very rapidly changing around them. More women are getting their voices. More trans people are getting their voices. More people are coming out as gay, lesbian, bi. Like all of these things are happening, and for cis men, cis straight men specifically, to kind of be stuck in this pattern where they have had the power this entire time and they have had the ability to be in control for so long. Now the power is being spread amongst people who are vocalizing it. I think there are a lot of men who get onto these websites, who get onto Reddit, who get onto like
Mhm.
what used to be 4chan, and like they fall into these cycles of these like I mean, typically you'll see it with incel groups. They're told that they deserve to have these things. And when they don't get them, obviously it's someone else's fault versus being able to look inward. Um, so I think like as far as women go, I love that we are gaining a voice here. I love that we are enabling ourselves to have that ability to say this is what I like and this is what I don't like. I do wish that more men had the capability of saying the same thing
Mhm.
and being I guess more compassionate about it. I think that is as women gain a lot more of that power, we should also continue to create space for everybody to be able to have those spaces to come forward and say what they need to say, especially if they're with a partner, whether it's a partner for one night or whether it's with a partner that you want to see the rest of your life with.
I love how you put that, because to your point, men, oftentimes it's like, okay, I've either watched porn or I've looked at magazines and this is my depiction of sex. In reality, it's completely different. So how do you, yeah, you're watching these images, but in reality, like, how are you performing, and what do you like, what don't you like? And so one of the very first my relationship is really, really random, but I do it's with intention. One of the very first dates that Martin and I went on, we went to pleasure chess. Pleasure chess, chess pleasure, pleasure chess. Which one, babe? Pleasure chess? Pleasure chess. So we went and
I love that he's just sitting in the back listening to this.
I know, I'm just like, we're
Hi,
open here.
friend.
Yes, hi, babe. He's okay. So I'll back up. So one of the very first dates that we went on, and I won't even call it, it's a date. It's a date. He went to my physical exam with me. He went to my pap smear with me. And it was one of those things where like, I want to be so open with you because I see you in a different light. Come to my pap smear. He sat there, the doctor, the nurse, like everybody was looking at my vagina. Duck clips were in there. Like we in there, right? We're here, right? Like a couple of weeks later, we go to the sex shop and we get these cards. And the cards basically, I'll show the screen, show the kinky side and they show let's play side. And so the lady at the store was like, hey, if you guys want to get to know each other better, write down the information on the card and exchange it. So Brie, go to the let's play slide. Play
Okay.
side. So you'll have like there's 3 columns and there's things on here, okay? So there's columns that say yes, 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 and then there's a maybe, and then there's no, like no, all right? So a couple of things on the card on the let's play side, it's 69, there's anal fisting, anal rip, all those went on my no side because I was like, I don't even know what that is. Blindfold, bondage, bruises, hickeys, cock rings, oils and lotions, like the list goes on, but it really gave a sense of, hey, I don't know what that is, but I'm fascinated. Or it's like, you know what? I don't want to do it. I don't know. Or it's hell yes, that's my thing. Put that on the yes, yes, yes side. On the get kinky side, now, this is where I didn't know a lot of these different things. And I don't think, baby, you know a lot of the stuff on the kinky side? Somewhat. So I did not know. Like I didn't know.
Yes, absolutely did.
I didn't know that like punching is on here.
Mm-hmm.
And fire play is on here. I there were so many different things. I'm like, okay, cool. And the cool thing is it's not like you're not shaming, but it just gives you a sense of like where people are at on their journey. So I really, really enjoyed filling out this card and then having the conversation.
Yeah. I love these tools too because it makes the conversation easier to have.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it very clear, but also this is not just a stagnant thing.
No.
Like your likes, your dislikes, things that you are unwilling to do might change from partner to partner. It might change from week to week too.
Right.
So I think that's really the nice thing is like having this list, but knowing there could be more out there, knowing that you can still be flexible with it, both physically and mentally. That enables you to really kind of open up like, hey, these are things that people enjoy. I might not like it, but there is always someone out there for someone.
This is very, very true. There's so I talked when we were getting ready for the episode, I brought up Goop.
Yep.
Is there okay? Because I know you're not fond of Gwyneth Paltrow. What happened? Is this her overall
Paltrow? Well, that girl still no. I don't. I just don't like her. I don't know. There is speaking of things that we can like that other people don't, or things that other people like that I don't. I'm not a big crunchy person. Like I don't I like when I say crunchy I mean like very like whole wholesome. I don't even know how to describe it. When I think of crunchy, I think of people who believe in astrology, who identify like like do birth charts, who who like believe like if you carry a crystal in your pocket, good luck is gonna come to you. Like, okay, and like essential oils and stuff. Here's the thing. I personally don't believe in any of that stuff. I I know that a lot of my friends do. For example, my sister really loves like pulling tarot cards. She
Mm,
won't call them tarot cards because that's a whole thing,
right.
but
I get it.
but like she really enjoys doing that stuff, and I'm like, it's not really for me. I'm gonna take life as it is. I have a really firm belief and excitement around learning like the science behind things.
Mhm,
Um and a lot of this stuff is just like kind of, it feels to me like it's just kind of plucking from the air. Like I'm trying to make sense of a world that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to create this ideology that helps me make sense of it. And that's totally fine. Like that is how we all kind of interact with the world. I also like it's though that type of mentality that gets people into conspiracy theories a lot too, though. And it has people it
yeah.
has people believing that one group is simply wrong because
Mhm,
they don't believe the same things. And you can look at that with Christian like religion, with any kind of following. So
mhm,
it's for me, I don't believe in these things.
mhm.
And I feel like Gwyneth Paltrow stands for some of these things a little bit more than I would prefer. And just, I don't know, there's something about her.
So, and okay, so now
I made a lot of
I
bold statements right there.
but I understand where you're coming from. I do understand where you're coming from. I bring her up because she does have this company, facility, all the things called Goop. And Goop has been really eye-opening for me. I watched the documentary on Netflix. So there's one that explains the company, and then she goes into different couples, and she hires sex therapists and things of that nature to help them explore their sexual horizons. So this particular documentary, I believe there were 4 or 5 couples. There was a lesbian couple. There was a senior couple, so in their early 60s. There was a couple that just had uh, like kids back to back to back. And then there was a couple that recently got married, but just felt like they weren't sexually compatible. I'm going to go to the last couple. So the last couple, super cute, into each other. But the gentleman thought that, his wife wasn't as kinky or freaky as she came off, where it was complete opposite. She wanted to go there but didn't know how to communicate to him. So they
Mhm.
sit with the sex therapist, and the sex therapist is talking to them about energy transfer and different toys that can use. So they lay the wife on basically like a massage table, right? So they bring out massage oils, and the sex therapist is with him, like saying like, okay, so talk to her, ask her about this. Do you like it like this? Do you like it like that? So she's like, I want you to go harder. Like I want you to, like, okay, now space. Like it was so eye opening. But the point of this was the toys. So she brings out um like a flogger, she brings out a whip, but she brings out these X-Men claws. And these claws were like, you basically, it's like a glove, and the claws go from, I'm not exaggerating, like here. And so she's like, put the claws on. He puts the claws on and takes it on her back, and you can see goosebumps just come on her body. Like it
Yeah.
was insane. And so I'm like, Netflix, you got clearance for this? Like, what am I watching on the
Netflix knows
television?
what they want.
Basically. So when they did that, he was like, I'm taking these home. Like, oh my gosh. And she's opening up to me. And it was just those moments of not being in your house, being in Santa Monica, being with someone that's like, not telling you, but like giving you the language so that way you can talk to your partner. I thought that was
Yeah.
dope as shit. The, the couple that was, the senior couple, it was this older woman that was helping them, and she was so yummy. She was so comfortable in her body, comfortable with her sexuality. So she did this activity with the wife, And so she stripped down naked and looked at herself in the mirror. And this woman's about 55, almost running into her 60s. The wife is about 60. She was like, I want you to strip down. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and see how beautiful you are. And the wife started to cry because she was like, I don't like my body. I don't like how I look. You know, she's, you know, older, but the
Yeah.
woman just like pushed so much empowerment into her. And then once they had that activity, her and the husband, the wife and the husband had an activity of being animals. And I'm like, being animals, what the hell? But they were on the floor rolling around, being like, I think they were tigers or jaguar or something, making noises, but it brought back that playfulness into the relationship. And I just
Yeah.
thought that was so beautiful, because how often do we look at ourselves in the mirror, or maybe we don't look at ourselves in the mirror, or maybe we want the lights off, maybe, you know, and Amy Schumer had a joke about it too. She's like, yeah, my husband thinks I want the lights off because of me. So he's like trying to coach me on my body. Like, oh man, I love your body. It's okay. And it's quite the opposite. She didn't want to see her husband.
Yeah.
She didn't want to see him at all whatsoever. So that's why outside of the woman, the stories breed. If you get a chance, watch Goop. It was pretty cool.
I, I may watch that. I
Outside of her, and she's barely in
I
it. She's in it
apologize
like maybe
to Gwyneth
5 minutes.
Paltrow for the hate that I'm putting into the universe for her.
It's like,
I'm sure she's a lovely person.
yeah, I like this part, but I was more interested on the sex part, because she does have other things that she's involved with the crunchiness. So I get that too. I get that too. I want to switch gears, and I want to go back to when you first let me ask you, did you have sex education in like 5th or 6th grade?
Yeah. I was just hit in the head
Hmm.
with a memory of
Hmm.
so embarrassed, so embarrassed. Okay, so it had to have been 6th grade because I was in middle school.
Okay.
We had to watch this video, that was a part of our biology class.
Mm,
And it was literally, it was a penis going into a vagina. It was like a cutaway
okay.
so that you could see like how the blood vessels work and how everything expands and contracts. I again was in 6th grade,
Yeah.
and I like 6th grade Bree is an embarrassment to 35-year-old Bree. 6th grade Bree was that little shithead who told everybody if you're gay you're going to hell. Or
Oh,
like I remember I remember watching this Revelation movie in youth group, and then I called one of my friends and I was like, I need you to accept Jesus, because otherwise like you're gonna have to go through terrible things during Revelation times. Like I was that dumbass little shithead. I
you didn't know. You didn't know.
I didn't know. But like I still every so often, you know how like sometimes you'll be going to sleep and like all of a sudden a memory will just completely embarrass you.
Hmm.
Usually it's of that time in my life. Watching this video, I actually went to my mom. I ran to my mom and I was like, they showed us porn. Um And there was a whole thing with the biology teacher.
Hmm.
And I don't even remember your name, sir. But if ever you see this clip, you probably won't, but if ever, I am so sorry for what I did to you as a shithead 12-year-old. Because like there was a whole thing with the principal and the vice principal and this biology teacher, and my mom, and it just turned into this like whole inquest on whether or not kids have to sit through sex education,
Hmm.
and, like specifically biological sex education, because then like the next year we had to sit there and learn about like bodily functions like having your period and boys ejaculating, and like I didn't have a problem with that. It was just the visual. And I think also maybe I was scarred from this entire thing because I think I was embarrassed of it even then. But yeah, yeah, it was bad. I was such a dumbass.
I grant the fact, like, you're a child, you're learning, there's different things, and then going back home, and then like there's worlds that are colliding
Yeah,
when it comes to what you're learning at home and then what the school district is deemed to teach you.
Yeah.
My experience, and I get really frustrated. 35-year-old Jessica compared to 12-year-old Jessica was scared straight. Scared straight. Our sex education they thought was great was just showing us infected vaginas and penises of
Yeah, I remember that
hepatitis,
shit too.
all the ABC, all those syphilis, gonorrhea, like all the different things, like, hey, if you have sex, could happen. And there was no education about consent. There was no education about like any of the things that we're talking about now. So I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for TikTok. I'm so thankful for Instagram, because I'm so thankful there's different books that kids can read. There's like from your body changing to sex education to all the different things. But those images, we're millennials, right? Of course we went through the DARE program. Like, of course we went through, like, we are that kid. Like, we're that kid. So
even when you were talking about like you were gonna save yourself in marriage, we all had the purity rings, the true love waits purity rings. Purity culture was so dumb. Oh god.
And it was just, we didn't have the tools to connect with other individuals. I remember, if you're watching, and I don't know if you're still alive or not, but if you are watching, Miss Citation Lady. So in elementary school, we would get citations, okay? And the citation was, oh, you were late to class, or oh, you didn't put the dodgeball, or whatever. It was so ridiculous. So
like a ticket written for you as a child.
Yes. And you had to take it to your parents, and they had to sign off on it. Like, it was such the bizarre discipline. But anyway, this we were probably like in the 4th grade, and one of our friends got her period really early. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were talking about like what's a pad, what's a tampon, and the citation lady comes up. She's like, "What are you guys talking about?" We're like, "She just got blood, so we're trying." We didn't have any language, any tools, whatever. She wrote us up for talking about tampons.
Are you kidding me?
No, she wrote us up for talking about tampons. And so my association with different things was like, oh, if I talk about this, I'm going to get in trouble. When I got my period, it was the day after Thanksgiving. No, it was Friday, because it was Black Friday
Friday would be the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, it is. Duh, it's Friday. My bad, y'all. My bad. So yes.
Mm-hmm.
The day after Thanksgiving, I got my period, and my mom and my aunties, like, they used to travel deep in the streets of the Best Buys, the Walmart. So they were out shopping since like 5 a.m. in the morning. So I'm in there. I got my Power Ranger drawers on. I'm like, okay, my mom's not home. What am I going to do? So I'm like, Dad. He's like, what? I'm like, there's blood coming out. Stay in the bathroom. So I stayed in the bathroom for probably 2 hours.
No.
So my mom comes home. My dad's explaining the thing is here. It's here. Help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So she comes to the bathroom. She shows me how to put on a pad, and then the words that she said, like, hey, if you have sex, you can get pregnant, right? And that was it. That was a conversation. I got in the shower, and I was like cleaning up or whatever. My brother barges in, and he sees blood in the shower, and he's like, is Jessie dying? What's happening? Oh my. So he's in tears. My mom's trying to deal with my moody ass. My dad's like, oh my gosh, it's here. What are we gonna do? Like, all hell's gonna break loose. And my brother's like crying. Like, it was a complete show.
Yeah.
It was a complete show when that happened. But it was going back to now kids are able to just have the tools. And I know there's, we have the pink tax that people are still trying to get rid of. Like, there's period poverty. There's so many different things that come with just being a woman. And we turn up from there. I mean, it doesn't stop. Like, we have menopause to look forward to, like, in the next, 10 odd years or
Woo!
whatever. Good times.
Listen,
So
yes. First of all, I actually had an advantage when I started my period because I have two older sisters and a mother, and
Mhm.
all three are very outspoken about when they're on their periods.
Mm,
So, like, my dad knows what to do in all of these situations.
yeah,
This man has more female education than any other man that I knew growing up.
I love
Thank you, Dad.
good.
Did we ever actually talk about any of this stuff? Absolutely not. But like in a meaningful way. We would just we stuck to the tropes of like, oh, someone has an attitude, they're probably about to start.
Yeah.
Like it was, yeah. So I started on my 12th birthday, on the day
Oh,
that I turned 12.
okay.
And it's the birthday gift that just keeps on giving.
Good times.
And like it wasn't it like I think I had learned about periods already. I obviously knew from my two older sisters, so like it wasn't a super panicky moment for me.
Mhm.
But I have made the very adult decision, which could change tomorrow. But I have decided that if I don't have kids by the time I'm 39, that shit's getting cut out of me. I am done. I am done with periods. I totally get you can still get your period, you can still get pregnant
Yeah.
even through your 40s and whatever. Not for me. Not for me. I am getting it gone. It's going to be out of my body, please. I am so done with it.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying. I commend you. I've had my fair share. That's up for another day, but it's been one of those things where it's like it's a surprise every month. It's like, oh, you're here again. Okay.
Yeah.
And then from an education piece, I didn't know. I literally just found out maybe 6 months ago that we go through 4 different cycles in a month. Where was that education in high school? Where? Because now it's not that I'm crazy. It's, oh, these are the things that are happening in your body. These are the
Yeah.
things that you could eat to help you with that particular cycle that you're, I mean, there's so much more education out there. So I get jazzed about that.
Yeah.
And I also love that now, in college, not all colleges do this, but there are colleges that have you go through, like, sex education part 2, consent, talking about just protecting yourself. Like, it's not something that is required, but I believe that it should be required in every single college campus.
Yeah.
Because there's so much hurt, emotional disconnect. There's so much that goes into having those conversations, and we see all the different cases. And there are cases that are still out there that no one talks about.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's a wild ride, but I know we're right at time, and that went by quick. So all right, y'all. Great episode.
Going.
Bree, as always, thank you, sister. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Till
Thanks
next
for
time, y'all.
providing this environment.
Good times. All right, y'all. Take care.